I'm Ed Evans. This is my second installment on my march through climate damage, climate science, climate denial resources on the internet and elsewhere. This is the greenhouse effect on Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. You can donate to it. I make a small donation. I do so because I come here every day, so I should donate something at least. Since I'm an old man and done working, unfortunately, I'll work though if I find work to do. Um, I don't have a lot to give, but if I did, I would. In any case, the greenhouse effect occurs when greenhouse gases in a planet's atmosphere insulate the planet from losing heat to space, raising its surface temperature. Surface heating can happen from internal sources like on Jupiter, or it can happen from external sources such as a host star. Our host star is what we call the sun. Solar radiation, incidentally, according to science, climate science, atmospheric science, and other sciences, physics and chemistry. I don't mention those two enough. Well, climate science is about physics and chemistry. It's about the physics and chemistry of our atmosphere, oceans, and more. Proxy evidence also comes into play. Tree samples from ancient trees that are fossilized, ice core samples going down to the depth, reaching what would be considered thousands of years ago, lake sediment, ocean sediment. The Earth's full of a history book. It just has to be opened. And that's why we have science, to open patterns in Earth's history and to predict what's coming. In any case, I made a note about Limbaugh. That's because I once heard the man say that climate science did not use chemistry or physics, which is totally wrong. He didn't do his research. I don't know how big Wikipedia was on climate science back in those days. I never bothered to check, but I knew he was wrong. Anyway, the proof's here. The sun has a surface temperature of 55,000 degrees. That's hot. That's 9,900 degrees Fahrenheit. That's enough to melt your feet. In any case, as you may know, Venus is hot enough to melt lead. Venus has a real problem with greenhouse gases. Okay, Claude Pouillet, 1827, 1838. Enos Newton Foote, demonstrated that the warming effect of the sun is greater for air with water vapor than for dry air, and the effect is even greater with carbon dioxide. Yeah, the term greenhouse effect was first applied to this phenomenon by Niels Gustav Ekholm, 1901. Okay, Joseph Fourier, 1824, he gets credit for being the guy to get this thing going. And his paper was in French. And actually, if you read the warming papers, you will find comments on Fourier. And that is actually done by the author who translated Fourier's book for himself. That's David Archer. Definition. Okay, I'm going to stop after this, at least as far as this page goes. Definition. Definition. The greenhouse effect on Earth is defined as the infrared radiation effect of all infrared absorbing constituents, that's parts, in the atmosphere. The greenhouse gases, GHGs, clouds, and some aerosols absorb terrestrial radiation emitted by Earth's surface and elsewhere in the atmosphere. Aerosols pollution, okay? Yeah, greenhouse gases are pollution as far as we're concerned today. My definition, if you didn't know, I define anything a pollutant to a life form if it in some ways inhibits or damages the habitat or life of that critter or its species. That's what I consider a pollutant. The enhanced greenhouse effect describes the fact that by increasing the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere due to human action, the natural greenhouse effect is increased. What does that mean? You increase burning fossil fuels, more cars, more decades of cars burning fossil fuels. That stuff has got to go. This is what led me to the whole idea of climate change. It wasn't a book. It wasn't President Johnson. Well, I have to say Scientific American in the 70s got me thinking about it. Of course, President Carter did too. In any case, if you have all these cars, all these factories burning fossil fuels, don't forget the Industrial Revolution in England, the coal burning. Well, the only thing I can say is it benefited the whales because well oil was no more important once the English got hold of coal. The term greenhouse effect comes from analogy to greenhouses. Both greenhouses and greenhouse effect work by retaining heat from sunlight. But the way they retain heat differs. Greenhouses retain heat mainly by blocking convection, the movement of air. So blocked air is a matter of convection. In contrast, the greenhouse effect retains heat by restricting radiative transfer through the air and reducing the rate at which thermal radiation is emitted into space. Well, this must be deadly boring. Let's take a look at this, the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect. Some sunlight that hits Earth is reflected back into space, while the rest becomes heat. Greenhouse gases absorb and redirect heat radiation. Greenhouse gases absorb and redirect heat radiated by Earth, insulating it from heat lost to space. So if we didn't have greenhouse gases, we wouldn't be here. That's a fact. This is a graphic. I can't show the whole thing. I got my page too small. It shows us what's warming, cooling, and more. Wikipedia is great. Oh, look at this. This is history. This is on the heat in the sun's rays. I'm really interested in this. All right. Circumstances affecting the heat of the sun's rays by Enos Foote. Enos Foote gets very little credit for her scientific work and discovery. She said the receiver containing the gas becomes itself much heated, very sensibly more so than the other. And on being removed, it was many times as long in cooling. This is it. I think she did this in a test tube in her backyard. And as you know, women were expected to be the United States, New England. She was a feminist, did you know? Yeah, she took part in the women's movement up in the Northeast of the United States. Her husband was also a scientist. And Enos could not read her paper at a scientific organization. And that happened in August 23rd, 1886. Can that be right? No, it might be 56. And that was read before the American Association, August 23rd, 1856. It's approaching the 200-year mark that we have known. Scientifically, sun rays do create heat on Earth that does not get expelled. I don't know what it takes to get through to the cement heads, but we have plenty of evidence that can be tested, reproduced, falsified. March 12, 1912, Popular Mechanics. The furnaces of the world are now burning about 200 million tons of coal a year. When this is burned, Uniting with oxygen, it adds about 700 billion tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere yearly. This tends to make the air a more effective blanket for the Earth and to raise its temperature. The effect may be considerable in a few centuries. Well, guess what? Welcome to the party. For those of you who are into statistics and charts and that sort of thing, here's one right here. More of the same. Spectrum of solar radiation, atmospheric absorption bands. Notice up here, sunlight without atmospheric absorption band. There's all sorts of stuff here. Surface emissions, long wave radiation. Well, that's it for this video. Wikipedia is a fine place to go. I hope you come here regularly. Yes, you can corroborate what you find here. I use it because it routinely corroborates what I believe, and it also causes me to become concerned when I'm wrong about what I believe. The beauty of it is, with Wikipedia, you can go down to the bottom of the page. This is not propaganda. This is a scholarly product. No, it's not like a university journal. It's not like a science journal, because there are different editors involved, and each comes from their own place. What they have working for them and against them is this. Resources. Yeah, this is all about science. It's all about numbers. So the folks who happen to be a positivist in your philosophical leanings, surface temperatures, lots of numbers here, lots of positivists chow to feed on. Well, look at these resources here. These are what we call references where I come from. Solar radiation and the Earth's energy balance, the climate system. Very good. 2010. There's tons of this stuff here. And this will corroborate or change your mind. And PDFs, it's all free, all open to you. What is the greenhouse effect? I can't say enough. If this is the difference between propaganda and educational information. Propaganda will not use reliable resources, reliable references. Education material must use reliable references. I am not saying that propaganda cannot be educational, because it can be educational, if no other reason by chance. However, the whole point of propaganda is to change minds, to influence minds to change, and to cause changes in governments like our own that's being taken over at the moment by oligarchs. I think they've already gained control. It's a fait accompli, as they say. I don't see them doing it. I don't see another open election. Can have one, but it's no better than North Korea. This is Eddie Evans signing off. I hope somebody sees this someday, but they did a job for me. I feel better.